Another Yu-Gi-Oh rankings based on their designs and not by their effects, this time on the god trios of Duel Monsters, GX, and 5Ds, that being the Egyptian gods or illusionary beasts, the sacred beasts or the phantom beasts, and the Nordic gods or the polar gods. Remember when they made god trios? Yes, I remember. These were awesome back in the day. So anyway, like usual, I'm going to be ranking them based on their design by anime appearances and not by their effects. No evolved forms since almost none of them have evolved forms. At most, the Egyptian gods or illusionary beasts actually do have other forms, but I'm not going to go over them because I'll be unfair to the other ones. And that goes the same for the fusion form, that being Haraki and Armityle, because the Nordic gods doesn't have a fusion form of themselves. But anyway, why I decided to be ranking all these all at once is because I usually like to make these type of rankings if there's at least 4 monsters. But since there's 3, I decided not to do them, so instead I decided to combine all of them into one because at least that will make more sense and just call these all gods. There are other godlike monsters in the franchise, but I'm deciding to go with the main trio. Technically I could add the legendary dragon / knight trio here, but I'm mainly going for the gods. But anyway, with all that out of the way, it's time for the rankings, and remember this is all based on my opinions, so you can always have your own opinions as well. On the bottom of my list, which is number 9, it will be Loki. Loki's a spellcaster based design, so spellcaster based compared to all the beast-like designs, it's very likely going to be the bottom of the list. And spoiler alert, I'm just gonna say this now, the Nordic gods are going to be in the bottom list because they're more humanoid than the other monsters. And I'm not saying the trickster-like design doesn't work for Loki. I think it actually works out really well, but design-wise, it doesn't look as cool as the other ones, and Loki was never really a warrior in the first place, but I do get the clown-like nature of it. But I would say the clothing design looks pretty cool, but I think it would probably look better if it actually looks like a magician. I think Loki deserves to look like a magician more than like a clown. Number 8, it will be Thor. Thor is definitely a warrior with a hammer, Mjolnir. Especially the headgear makes it look a bit like a wise warrior, and I have to admit, it does look like a giant or a god of a forest. And especially the beast-like look, it kind of makes sense here. Although in my opinion, Thor should probably look more like an elite type knight design, just in my opinion. To number 7, it's Odin. A very gigantic wise looking god, looks very threatening with Gungnir, and I really like the Gungnir design. Especially I really love the holiness of the god looking design, really looks menacing right there. And very angelic too, which also gives like a very powerful presence here as a god. In many ways it looks like a ruler of all things, I'm not gonna lie. But I will have to say, not as cool as the other monsters in this list. And just because these are humanoid looking gods. And then to number 6, I have to unfortunately pick Obelisk. Obelisk's design is just all plain blue, at the same time does look a little threatening. I just wish the color scheme wasn't plain blue, because yeah, that kind of derails Obelisk's design a bit to me. I like the wing design and the head design too, especially the horns on the head and the spikes. I really kind of like it, especially the giant warrior looking design. To number 5, it will be Haman. Haman's design looks pretty cool, it looks like raw and all, but I really don't like the skeleton-like design of Haman. To me, it looks like an undead looking beast that is a giant. Sure, a little dragon-like, so a bit of a dragon lich, but compared to some of the other monsters, I say Haman is not the best design, but regardless, it does look pretty cool as well. It does look like a dragon lich, especially a ruler-like god. Cooler than the Nordic gods, I must admit, but I kind of don't like the skeleton-like design on it. Number 4, it will be Raviol. Raviol is, yes, looks undead-like design as well, but I have to say, cooler than Obelisk and of course Haman as well. I like the giant undead-like nature of it. The head design definitely looks better in my opinion. In fact, I kind of like the extra detailing in comparison to Obelisk if you want to make that comparison. And it does look like an undead giant. The wings look very cool. I love the claws on Raviel as well. So yeah, very cool monster. Number 3, it will be Uriah. Uriah is a dragon-like design, so yes, I'm a sucker for dragons. And I have to admit, Uriah just looks really cool in design. A much edgier looking Slifer, I must admit. Or Osiris, either way that should have been Osiris. But anyway, besides the point, I really like Uriah's design here, especially the head with the gem on it. But unlike Slifer, this one technically doesn't have a second mouth. It has a mouth within a mouth. And I have to say, it still looks threatening. And still has has the undead-like nature of the Sacred Beast, and overall I just really like the design, especially the wings. The Long Dragon. In my number 2 spot, it is Osiris or Slifer, however you want to say it. This is the Heavenly Dragon, and I have to admit, it does look pretty heavenly. Being a very long dragon, it's the dragon with a second mouth, which looks very threatening. I do like the little gem on the head too. Head design looks great. I really love the wings too, makes it look very heavenly. The red actually kind of makes it look heavenly as well. So I have to say, it's a neck to neck with Uriah when it comes to design here. I mean, they look very alike, but this one just looks a little more epic in my opinion and more threatening because of that second mouth, and I really like the aesthetic of Slifer or Osiris. My number 1, Winged Dragon of Ra, or Ra, the Sun God. Ra's design, yes, looks plain yellow, but what I really like about Ra is the fact that it's a mechanical looking god. It's basically a god that has its own forms created by itself, starting off with its sealed form, a spear, and it transforms into the Mega Ultra Chicken, which I have to admit, I really love that. Yes, it has a mechanical bit design, so it does look a little weird at the same time, but at the same time, it just looks very epic, especially I like the head design and the gem on it. That ring on the back makes it look like a sun god, alright. The dragon phoenix looking design is definitely awesome as well. And definitely the wings too, definitely gives the phoenix-like feel to it. Especially when it goes to the phoenix form. The phoenix form just looks absurdly awesome. Definitely looks like full power Ra, being a sun god and all, on fire. Especially I like it that it still looks a bit like a dragon too, so that's an added bonus. So in my opinion, Ra is the coolest of the god trio designs. So that's it for these rankings of the god trios of Duel Monsters to 5Ds, because all the series afters don't really have any god trios but godlike monsters. What do you guys think of them? How would you rank them? This is all based on my opinion, so remember, you can always have your own opinion on how would you rank them. I just gave you my thoughts and reasoning to each one, and also a little question is, which one is your favorite god trio? And I'm talking about based on their designs and not by their effects. I will still have to say the Egyptian gods or the illusionary beasts are the coolest ones, despite my little taste about Obelisk being all plain blue, and maybe Ra a bit when it comes to all plain yellow, but being all of a sun god and the mechanical bit, I kind of like it at the same time. A bit neck to neck with the Sacred Beast because yes, it's basically Egyptian gods but edgier. But in that, that's it for this, and see you all next time.